So what is the spiral? Well, the spiral is a process of accelerated evolution that systematically takes you through specific clears to open up different power levels within your body and to amplify and open up the connection between those power levels so that you can work cohesively and coherently towards your ideal outcome in life. So if you think about this simple analogy of an iceberg, when we're moving, we want to move towards our goal with our conscious mind, right? The thing that we come in for coaching or therapy or change work is because we want some kind of outcome, some kind of change. We either want to reduce the problems or amplify and open up new possibilities and strengths and gifts and our ability to, implement them in our life so that we can get better relationships, more money, have more success, make a bigger impact, make a bigger contribution to the world, and live a more prosperous, joyful, peaceful life. So that's our conscious goal outcome. And, it would be fair to assume that nearly everybody on the planet would want some form of positive change in their life. However, just because we want something consciously or we set a goal doesn't always mean that we're going to get it, because sometimes there are unconscious blocks that stop us from moving towards that goal, or there's some part of us that is in an unconscious conflict between the part that wants to move towards the goal and the part that might have some kind of block or obstacle or meaning making that going after that goal or achieving that goal might be unsafe or create some kind of fear or negative outcome. And so when that happens, it's almost like your energy becomes diffused because part of you is wanting to accelerate and move forwards towards your goal. And the other part of you is like putting the handbrake on and holding you back or going in the opposite direction or just some other goal. And so that can be happening on all 5 levels of being, right? Spiritually, energetically, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And so the spiral is a process of helping to clear those blocks, open up new levels of power so that more of you can be focused towards where you want to go. So all of you is coherently and collaboratively moving forward towards your ultimate outcome. So that's one of the key pieces, is like moving you from your present state to your desired state and clearing any kind of interferences or blocks or obstacles that might be in the way. Now, when we're clearing blocks and obstacles, there are, of course, those ones that we are consciously aware of, the things that we're like, oh, yeah, I have that insecurity about that, or oh, I have that mother issue about that, or gosh, I have a money block about this. There are certainly things that we are consciously aware of that are kind of getting in the way. But there's also a whole bunch of stuff that we're not consciously aware of that is really just sitting in our kind of deep unconscious, and that can be really, weighing us down or being some kind of anchor that is dragging along the bottom and really preventing us from moving forward. And so what we do in the spiral is move through this process of opening up and clearing and removing baggage and blocks in a very systematic way. And so we utilize the map, the map of the body, the somatic map of the body that has been an energetic map of the body that has been charted and categorized and tracked by the Indian people through the chakra system for thousands of years, right? There is lots and lots of research and evidence that has gone into creating this really cohesive and deeply spiritually profound map of the evolution of consciousness that moves through the body. And so we have this kind of pathway of the 7 embodied chakras. And so there are lots of other chakras in various traditions and various different wisdom pantheons around this, but we work with the 7 chakras of the main Sushumna channel that works through the body. And so from what we call, from counting from the bottom, level 1 up to level 7, from Muladhara chakra all the way up to Sahasrara at the crown, we work through and systematically release and open up the energy flow of these channels. And so if you think about it like a power amplification, or like going from a little 2-stroke engine that you might have on your lawnmower to a V8 muscle car, like in terms of the amount of power that you can open up within yourself, because so many of us have these kinds of, you know, little obstacles, things that happen, and they kind of clog up our pipes. If you think of this as your energy pipe for clearing what needs to release and become liberated from form back up into unmanifest matter, and then from taking ideas from the abstract down into form so that you can manifest them in your life, this central channel is really critical to both of those processes, the liberation and the manifestation. So the ascending current of liberating what needs to go, and the calling in manifestation of what we want to bring into form and create in our lives and see, hear, feel, taste, touch around us. And so throughout our lives, like it's almost like, the hull of a ship, different debris builds up. And each of our chakras is like kind of like a thematic filing cabinet. And so each chakra is like a power center that has a particular theme and a particular area of life that it's responsible for. And so each of these chakras can get kind of blocked up with different experiences and, stressful events that might have happened in your life that you didn't process, or things that happened in your childhood. Sometimes even there can be blocks from ancestral wounds that have been passed down through your genetic lineage, or even soul imprints that are coming through. So there's all sorts of places that these blocks can come through. And what happens is it's almost like there's a narrowing and a limiting of your power. And so what the spiral does is very systematically just go through and clear out that baggage on every level of your being, so that you can create more easy flow in life, right? So it's almost like a spiritual, mental, emotional, energetic colonic, right? That clears out all the baggage, clears out all the gunk, and allows you to open up your capacity to hold power in your body, right? To hold power, hold your power, your true essence and your power and your creative potential within your body, right? Without freaking out, without feeling like it's unsafe to be seen or to shine that much or to show up in such a powerful way. So many of us have insecurities and fears and blocks that just limit us and make us think that we need to be small, or that we unconsciously hold ourselves back for fear of retribution or judgment or negative consequences of some kind. And so spiral opens up our capacity to just hold our power and be neutral about it. It's just like, hey, here I am. This is me, right? And so it opens up a new level of leadership potential. It opens up a new level for peace and joy and energy and vitality. And really, in many ways, it's about becoming more honest with yourself about who you really are and what you really want. And so let's go deeper into this, because as we move through these different levels, we're shifting from lower frequency energetic emanations to higher frequency energetic emanations. And so our bodies emanate frequencies. This is tracked, this is trackable. This is a slide from the Heart Math Institute, and they measure heart coherence. So the rate in between the heartbeats and what the regularity of that is. And so they've tracked that when you're in a more contracted state, like frustration or shame or pain or distress, there will be more irregularity in your heart rate coherence. And when you're in more expansive, higher frequency emotions like appreciation, acceptance, love, joy, peace, enlightenment, then your heart rate coherence becomes more balanced and more coherent. And so in layman's terms, it's really about shifting from that sense of like, oh, I did it wrong, I messed up, I'm feeling ashamed or humiliated, into, woohoo, I've got courage, I've got power, I can move forward in my life. So this is the very base level of being able to shift your baseline frequency. This is about almost like a deeper clean or a complete operating system upgrade that really goes deeply into your unconscious and systematically clears out the predictable blocks that all humans go through when we're going through these evolutionary phases. And so how do we map that? Well, it's with the combination of the 3 maps of the scale of consciousness, the chakra system, and spiral dynamics. And when we map these together, they don't perfectly overlay, but it does give us, it points us towards certain themes, certain correlating themes and essences, and almost like a thematic draw for each level of power. And so as we move through the levels of consciousness from the base all the way up to the crown, we're moving from clearing shame all the way up to clearing and opening up our relationship with enlightenment. And so when I say clearing as well, we're not removing the emotions so that you can never feel them again. That's not even possible, really, but unless you have maybe a lobotomy or something. But what we're doing instead is clearing our relationship to that emotion. So a lot of times people might feel the emotion of shame or humiliation or some kind of quite dense emotion like that. And instead of just allowing themselves to be able to feel it and that emotion to run through their body and release naturally, what happens is like, oh, I don't want to feel that shame. And it's almost like we tense up and get stressed. And then that emotion, instead of just naturally moving through like a sneeze or an orgasm or a yawn, it becomes trapped in the energetic body, which then can become trapped in the physical body and cause us stress down the track. So it just becomes a stressor in the system that is just kind of operating at a baseline level of unconsciousness. And it's almost like it fills up your stress bucket, right? If you think about the chakras as holding like a stress bucket on every level, spiritually, energetically, mentally, emotionally, and physically, if you have like this baggage that gets stuck in your body, then it's like your baseline operating system is under tension, right? And so as we do the spiral, it clears out that baseline of tension, so you have more capacity. So you become less able to be triggered. You become more able to hold calm and neutrality and think clearly in stressful situations, because you've got more capacity to handle the day-to-day stresses of life, because you're not already redlining and like filled up from past chronic stress that you're still carrying in your body. So it enables you to become a more peaceful, productive, powerful leader that can handle the stresses of daily life. And so how we do this, how we create this map, is by combining these 3 systems. So combining the wisdom pathway of the chakras and the wisdom of spiral dynamics, which has been developed over time, tracking the different themes and values levels of different stages of evolutionary consciousness. So at level 1, there is this baseline level of survival. And then at level 2, it moves into tribe and connection with your tribe and your family. And then at level 3, it opens up power and ego and your desire to go after your goals. At level 4, the blue meme, we open up for truth and order and hierarchy and structure and rules and morality and discipline. At level 5, which is the orange meme of prosperity, it opens up a new level of pragmatism and decisiveness and scientific rationality and an ambition around money or commerce or material desires. And then at level 6, our green meme, it opens up this sense of relativity and compassion for other beings and more social contribution and cohesion, and just like an awareness of how you can make a difference, I guess. And at level 7, the yellow meme opens up this deeper level of systemic awareness, so that there's more holistic adaptability, there's more insight, there's more awareness. And so this is a very clear, tracked level of evolutionary consciousness and the natural development that different societies and individuals go through as a very clear and trackable pathway. And so by combining the chakras with spiral dynamics, it allows us to have this map that we can very systematically clear through, like a personal operating system upgrade. And so when we bring them together with the scale of consciousness, we get these kind of thematic areas for the 7 levels, and we can map them to specific emotions that we get to clear and shift our relationship to at each level. So there is a 7-session sequence of steps, and then we have other sessions at the front and at the end to clarify your overall program goal, and then to kind of clean up at the end and call in your ultimate desires. But this is really a pathway of 7 sessions that is like an ultimate clean out operating system upgrade for your system. So at level 1, the theme is deserving. And so it allows us to drop into our rootedness in the ground and our deservingness to just be here and be alive and be in our bodies. And so at this level, we clear the relationship to the emotions of shame and guilt and dogma, which is like the rules and conditioning of society that can be, imposed or conditioned upon us. And so as we open up our deeper level of deserving, it's like our body can kind of relax, our nervous system can feel safer, and we can start to relax. It's almost like, relax the butt, relax the legs, root down into the ground, and start to actually feel like, yeah, I deserve to be here. I deserve to be successful. I deserve to live my life and have my life to be the way that I want it to be. Then at level 2, connects to the sacral chakra and opens up our theme of creativity. And so at this level, we clear through fear and grief and paralyzed will. Paralyzed will is that a freeze response of the nervous system where you're like, oh, I can't move forward. I can't move back. I don't know what to do. So if you've ever felt kind of stuck or like in freeze around your creativity, or you have some idea that wants to come through, but you feel blocked around it, this level will open that up and open up the flow of those creative ideas to actually come through and be birthed into the world and become real, right? Level 3 is our power level. And so that connects the red meme from Spiral Dynamics and the solar plexus chakra. And we work through pride and clear anger and desire to open up our relationship with feeling proud of ourselves and be able to set healthy boundaries and to know what we want and to be able to go after it in a proactive and pragmatic way. At level 4 connects to our heart and the blue meme of Spiral Dynamics. And that's where we start to connect into openness and love. And so at this point, we clear reason and acceptance and love, because often it's our reasoning mind that gets in the way of us actually just being able to be open-hearted human beings that are sharing ourselves passionately with the world. And so we clear our relationship with these things, right? You might notice and go, well, why are we clearing shame and then also clearing love? Like, isn't shame a bad emotion and love a good emotion? Well, no, all emotions are just emotions. And so we want to really dispel that idea that there are positive and negative emotions and really come from a more neutral standpoint of just looking at, there are emotions that cause us to contract more and emotions that cause us to expand more. But just like the breath in our lungs expands and contracts, there's nothing essentially bad about contraction or essentially good about expansion. They're both two halves of the larger whole. They're both actually essential to a functional human being. So we want to clear our relationship to all of these emotions so that all of the emotions can more smoothly move through our body without getting stuck. So at level 4, we become more open to our reasoning mind, to accepting what is, and to loving ourselves and others, and open to receiving support and putting structures in place in our lives that will support us. So then we move up to level 5 to our theme of expression. And this correlates the throat chakra with the orange meme from Spiral Dynamics. And this is about expressing ourselves and coming into greater confidence to bring our creative ideas to life by speaking them into existence. So at this level, we clear anxiety and confidence and low self-esteem to just shift our relationship with being able to express ourselves freely and grow our business or grow our leadership by expressing ourselves freely and confidently and powerfully. Then at level 6 connects our ajna, our third eye center of our chakra, with the green meme from Spiral Dynamics. And this is about opening up our vision, opening up and connecting our logical and mystical mind, connecting beyond the sense of individual self to have compassion for other beings and the planet. And so at this point, our vision opens up to the degree that we can see beyond ourselves, right? And to the degree that we can see the balance between the mathematical and the mystical, or the logical and the creative, the left and right sides of our brain can start to work together cohesively without that sense of one is better than the other. And so at this level, we work with truth and trust and receptivity. So your ability to be receptive to the magic and synchronicity of life as well. Then at level 7, we're opening up the crown chakra and connecting with purpose. And this connects to the yellow meme of Spiral Dynamics. And at this point, we clear through 4 emotions: peace, joy, enlightenment, and purpose. And so through these 7 sessions, we open up deserving, creativity, power, openness, expression, vision, and purpose. And you can see that this is really a liberation pathway. We're clearing the blockages, opening up the energy centers, and making space for our true self to kind of land and be in our body. And so the spiral is very much this systematic pathway of both healing, which is liberating what needs to be released, and evolution. So opening up and calling in greater levels of power and purpose and passion in our lives so that we can evolve and be the people and the leaders and the healers and the lovers that we want to be with our family and with our friends and with life itself. So as we do this, we use the tool of emotional clearing and the meridian points in the emotion chart, and a process called root clearing, which is a pathway to actually shift our experience of the relationship with that emotion. So for instance, we might have a relationship with love, for instance. So over the course of our life, we've had many experiences that relate to the theme of love. And we all have our own different experiences that relate to love. And for someone, love might feel amazing and uplifting. And for someone else, it might induce feelings of anxiety and humiliation and not enoughness. And so what we do through the process of muscle testing and the process of the root clear is we're shining our awareness into the deep unconscious and looking for what are the core imprints around this emotion. For instance, if it was love, we muscle test through the timeline and look for 3 significant events in our life where that experience has been shaped. Like, what's your experience of love, for instance? And so we look for, 3 significant events that give us a point, like can point us towards the pattern of how we each individually relate to this emotion, whatever it may be. And so through that process, by unlocking our awareness and opening up our awareness around that, then using the meridian points and the acupressure points to release the somatic and energetic baggage around that, it opens up our relationship to that emotion and allows it to flow more freely through our lives. And so through this systematic pathway, we're looking into places in our unconscious. We're shining the light into the darkness of our unconscious to find things that you may never think to bring to a coaching session, right? So I think about this almost like the analogy for us here in Australia. We have bushfire season that can sometimes be quite terrible, and we have a lot of bushland with undergrowth and little brushes and things. And so when there's due to be a big hot summer, the firefighters go into the bush and they do what's called backburning. And so they burn through the bush and burn all the undergrowth so that when the hot days come through, there's not some rapid out of control fire that's going to get crazy. And so the backburning is kind of like insurance. It takes out all of the brush and all of the obstacles that would cause a huge fire to happen later. So it's kind of like backburning is like the insurance. And in a similar way, doing these systematic 22 root clears through the process of the spiral, it's almost like cleaning out in your unconscious mind or backburning for insurance against potential obstacles or problems that might come up down the line. And so when we do this cleanup, what can come up and what can be cleared are things that you may never think to bring into a coaching session, but can be invisibly stressing and causing obstacles and contraction in your nervous system and blocking your ability to think of creative, wonderful ideas, because it's just like a handbrake in your unconscious that you don't even know is there. And so that's the benefit of going through this very systematic process that follows a natural and proven and tracked over thousands of years evolutionary pathway that allows us to just systematically clean up and open up our power in a very clear pathway. And so it allows us to then amplify our energy. And I love this quote from Marianne Williamson that you may be familiar with, that as we open up our energy and open up this channel of energy in our pathway, we can now bring more energy into the world. We can now become more radiant, more compelling, more magnetic to our desires. And this quote is really the perfect summary of what happens and why we do the spiral. As we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to do the same. And that's really what we're here for in the spiral, is to become our best selves so that we can give of our best selves and bring our best selves into life to make a positive contribution to the world and live in joy and peace and prosperity. So the spiral is a process of healing and evolution that allows us to become our greatest self. So I really look forward to taking you guys through this journey and teaching you this pathway so you have it for yourself, and you can also help others on their evolutionary journey as well.